Hello, we're going to look at that tricky doohickey form today. As you know, the examiner delights in wasting your time and putting you under undue pressure. It's the way of his people. So you've got to look at the formal conventions, the ingredients, if you will, of a novel. It's not something I've got my fingers into till I was at university. Anywho, we'll roll out some easy wins that can have you smashing form in the exam faster than you could pay off Gandhi's bar tab. Let's get on. And here's the three conventions of the novel form we'll be playing with today. You can find these when you're doing that Part A close reading question in the exam. You know, where they shove an extract from Christmas Carol under your nose and get you to analyse it. These three features of the novel are dialogue, narrative voice and conflict. Why have I got a little star system next to it? Well, frankly, they're all level 9 or A star quality features to look at, and my model paragraphs will amply demonstrate that. But I'd say narrative voice and conflict are perhaps marginally more difficult to identify and add to your responses. But by God, they're all winners, as we shall see. Now, one way that writers convey character is through dialogue, through what the characters say. And we, the readers, we make inferences, deductions about that character's thoughts and feelings and natures and relationships by the words that the writer has stuck in their mouths. Even you, every time you open your yapper, you reveal yourself, your intelligence, your prejudices, your passions, your job. It all starts with the dialogue. Now here's a solid paragraph responding to an extract from Stave 1. I think the question was on how Dickens presents Scrooge or something. At this stage, there's no form, there's no analysis of form. But I'm going to patch that into the next slide. I've simply shown you this just to get an idea of how to adapt your paragraphs for some easy analysis of form. And with that bit of black stuff there, you can see it's as simple as pie. Now that explanation is analysing form and structure, because I'm looking at the exclamation mark, at the same time. So, as far as the exam is concerned, you couldn't be cooler if you were Stevie Wonder sipping iced tea in an igloo. Second convention of the novel form now, narrative voice. The description, if you like, in the novel. Could be in first person, could be in third person, but it's narrative voice. And sometimes it's just there to give you information. You know, 3 men walked into a pub. Sue reloaded the shotgun. It's like the news. But other times, that narrative voice, which as I say is a convention of the novel form, that is helping to create mood, to help shape a certain atmosphere. And, as the picture on the left shows, Dickens oftentimes aims for a comical or a light-hearted tone. Other times, and clock picture on the right there, he's aiming for a dour or a bleaker or a more melancholic tone. And to demonstrate how we weave formal analysis into our exam paragraphs, I'm first going to show you a paragraph without any formal analysis. Don't get me wrong, it's still very level 80-90, if that's an adjective. If it's not, it should be. But of course, it just looks at language, this one. And just to clarify, I've got the point in red there, I've backed up with evidence, that's the stuff in green, relevant evidence and all. The blue stuff, that's me explaining, analysing the effects on the reader of that language. I've locked in, been a clever Trevor, I looked at two things there, the verb crept and also the verb trembling, how they kind of work together. Here comes the stuff in black, level 9 defender. You can see I've grafted this sentence starter in black onto the start of my explanation. So now that sentence starter, that explanation, is working double bubble. I'm analysing language and form in the explanation. Check me out. I've talked about a convention of the novel form. I could have just said a convention of the novel. I've used form because of course I want to kind of whap the examiner around the head and say, look you lemon, you won't be wasting my time looking at this stuff, this form gubbins. So I have done. I'll have my level 9 now, Hanson. Here's another paragraph that's going to go on to look at literary form, narrative voice. I won't read this one out, but this is the pre-patch paragraph, you know, before I've patched in that analysis of form. And again, in black, you can see the dodge I've worked, stitching that formal analysis into the start of my explanation. I guess you could, if you wanted, do it into the point as well. You could say, in the excerpt, Dickens' narrative voice, a convention of the novel form, employs a complex sentence. You know, you can stitch it in the point if you wish. There'll be no hard sell here, but you do well to buy my book of A Christmas Carol exam responses. These essays, they're geared towards the EdExcel exam board for that Part B question in the exam, you know, where you've got to look at a theme or character across the whole novel. Now, some div on Amazon has given it a negative review, either because they're not with EdExcel or, you know, they've got their own little petty agenda. And I say this because these are tried and tested essays. I mean, scores of my students, past and present, will attest to their quality. Yeesh, I mean, see my videos, you know the high standard of model paragraphs I produce. Anywho, it's up to you, buy it or not, but I suspect you're smart enough to see the benefits of a whole book of model essays for your revision. Final feature of form that we'll fiddle with today is conflict. Conflict drives the story along. It's like the fuel for the narrative. No conflict, no story. A Christmas Carol, you've got more conflict you can shake a stick at. You've got the conflict between Scrooge and Fred. You've got the conflict between how Scrooge behaves, how he should behave. You've got the conflict with Belle, because of course he loves money more than he loves her. You can even have internal conflict. I'm rereading a great comic book at the moment called V for Vendetta, and this detective is chasing down a terrorist, and one of the things he's running out of leads as this detective. So what he does, most unwisely in my opinion, is he takes LSD to expand his mind. Why? Because there's a conflict between what he knows and what he wants to know. So conflict, internal, external, drives that story along. Here, have a quick look at this dull narrative here, this pathetic plot, this snooze-worthy story to get an idea of how dull it can be without conflict. This guy asks a girl for a date, he gets a date, and as you can see in the final frame there, they all live happily ever after, have 5 kids, 2 dogs and a Volvo. Yawn, no conflict, no sale. But with a few tweaks and an injection of conflict, now we've got a story, because you can see panel 2, she rejects him. There's conflict now. Conflict between what he wants and what he's getting. That's going to drive the story, as you can see from panel 3. I don't know, maybe he sends flowers and winds up dating the girl in the flower shop. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying Hollywood are buying the rights to that story, but it's a darn sight more enjoyable, more engaging, more compelling since we added that little bit of conflict. And you can see from this model exam paragraph that I've taken that analysis of language and I've zhuzhed it up with that little injection of formal analysis in black at the start of the explanation. And we're done. As you can tell, I'm not a fan of form. I can't say I'm warm to form, but we know how to roll with it now in an exam. I'll leave you with my daughter's picture, and yes, it does annoy me that a 9-year-old girl is 10 times the artist her old man will ever be. But that's show business, I guess. Anyway, as they say in Hawaii, aloha, goodbye, and best of luck in that exam hall.